We are back on air with another episode. But before we get into it, make sure you follow us on YouTube and Instagram at Rare Footage Sports. And to keep up with the number one source for sports, follow us on X at Rare Footage News. Today, we have a coach who've reached the pinnacle of college basketball, who've seen the mountaintop of college basketball not once, but multiple times, who's the pride and joy of Philadelphia basketball, one of the most dominant programs in the country. With no further ado, Villanova's assistant men's basketball coach, Ashley Wright. What's going on, Ash? What's going on with you?
What's going on, Bird? How you doing, baby?
I can't call it, man. I appreciate you for taking some time out this morning to be on air with me, man.
I
Let,
appreciate the invite, man.
for sure. You got over a decade of coaching college basketball, but you started at your alma mater, Drexel University. Drexel University. What was the difference from being a player to being on the sidelines as a coach?
So I made my transition into coaching while I was still a student athlete. So a lot of the players, when I first started coaching, they were my teammates. They were my friends. You know what I mean? So when I made that transition, I just wanted to point out certain things that I saw that that they maybe didn't see, that maybe the head coach at the time wasn't delivering the message in an effective way to kind of get through to them. I say it in another way. I wanted to spend a lot of time with those guys in the gym because, I was still pretty much playing and I was still a gym rat myself. I still am to this day. And just try to help those guys get better, man. Like I made that transition into coaching, and all of the energy and the time that I put into being a player, I just transferred that energy into just making the guys around me better and just trying to help them reach their goals. So, like that was the transition for me.
You think it was easier for you being a point guard, making that transition as your coach? Because normally the point guard is like the coach on the floor for most teams.
Yeah, so like I've always had like that type of mindset. And even when I was playing, I was still coach. Camps in the summer. I coached in the Sunny Hill League. So I've always had that in my nature. My dad was a coach. My uncle was a coach. I grew up around, Temple's program as a kid. So was really influenced by Coach Cheney and all my coaches down the Sunny Hill League, and the way we were raised growing up were to be smart, intelligent players, right? That had to be a part of your DNA coming from Philly, right? So, I had that in me. And then when Brew got the job at Drexel, we were cut from the same cloth, right? So a lot of the things that he was teaching and the way he viewed the game, it was an easy transition for me because I believed in it. So it really helped.
And then you then spent 4 years at LaSalle University, and then you spent some time at Xavier. How was it coaching on the A10 level?
It was good, man. It was good. So I was fortunate to get an opportunity to start in a business as an assistant, which isn't normal. So at a young age, I was out recruiting and building relationships. And before I got the job at LaSalle, I actually was the director of Hoop Group Camp. And back then, all of the Division I guys in the East Coast region, they would all go to that camp at least for one session, right? So I got an opportunity to build relationships with the players at the high school level, and then a couple months later, I was a assistant coach in college, right? So now I got relationships. Now I have connections to players, to coaches, not just in Philly, but in Jersey, New York, DC, Virginia, Baltimore, right? And I was able to capitalize on that opportunity, but it took a lot of work. I had to grind it and build my reputation as an assistant, and being at LaSalle and being at the A10 helped me do that because that's a desirable level for players. And there are a lot of players in our region at that time that could play at that level, right? So rather than being like at an Ivy League school where I'm just recruiting high academic kids or at a high major where I'm just recruiting, like the cream of the crop, I was able to start my career as a recruiter where I was casting a wide net. I was swinging for the fences, trying to get high major kids to come to LaSalle. And then, we had to have a balance. So now you're recruiting academic kids that, go to the Interact schools and have Ivy League and Patriot League offers. So, John Giannini gave me that shot as a young assistant. And I've been grateful for that. It really helped my trajectory as a coach.
So you started off on the mid major level. Fast forward some, you get the hire at Villanova. What was the energy like during your first Big East game?
Man, it was by the time we got to be honest, Bird, by the time we got to the Big East, my first year at Nova, like we had already had some like high level games, you know what I mean? So like, we played Kansas with
Mm,
Joel Embiid and Andrew Wiggins that year
mm.
and beat them in the battle for Atlantis. And I'm trying to remember some of the other games we may have had that year, but by the time we got the Big East play, I mean, we were like, top four in the country. We went into that season not ranked, right? So, the momentum was crazy because I think our confidence was really high, and I think that our leaders at the time, like Ryan Arch and Darren Hilliard and Daniel Sheffu, Javon Pinkston, like those guys were going into the Big East play like, yo, like, this is what really matters. And, now it's time to set the tone. And to be honest, my first year, I was really learning that entire year about the conference, about, what it meant to be at Villanova and and what Villanova basketball was all about. And then when you get to the Big East play, the brand of basketball is going to be physical. It's going to be tough. Every game is a battle, right? So, I was just trying to prepare the guys for that mentally to go into every game together, knowing that, the other team is going to make a run, right? We can't allow that to affect us mentally. We got to stay locked in and regardless of the circumstance, stay together and play with a positive attitude.
Now, Ash, while you was at Nova, were you still there? You were able to win two national championships. What
Yep.
was it feeling like being able to win it all, cut the nets down, and be at that mountaintop? Because some coaches never reach the mountaintop, let alone actually win it not once but twice.
Well, I think when you get to that point, you have an appreciation for the work, right? It doesn't happen overnight. And it takes time to build a program and get it to that level. And then obviously you gotta have some special players, man. Like we're lucky to coach some special players, special people, guys that were really talented, but understood that if we were going to do something special like win a national championship or a Big East championship, it wasn't going to happen on your own. And we got those guys to really buy into each other. We got them to buy into playing hard and having a mindset that we're going to outwork you, we're going to out tough you, we're going to out scrap you. And when you have that mindset, then offensively, like their talent just kind of took over, right? So um great appreciation for those players, the coaching staff, the guys that I was in the foxhole with every single day, putting the work in with the players, and then obviously working for a Hall of Fame coach and Coach Wright. It was like the ultimate buy-in on what he was selling from the top down.
Now, I know winning don't get old, but I gotta ask you this: did the second one feel as good as the first one?
The second, well, the in the fashion that we won the first one on a buzzer beater shot, I don't think you can match that, right? Just um the emotions of having a 10-point lead with 3 minutes left and feeling like, all right, we got this, losing it, and then winning on a buzzer beater. So the emotional roller coaster that we were on in that game was unmatched. But in 2018, it was unique for me because um like that was like the first class of recruits that we had all brought in during my time at Villanova, right? So it was like, okay, like we won it and we kept it going. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so this, the second one was special for me personally because of that, because we had been through a lot. Mikal Bridges redshirted as a freshman, went from being a redshirt freshman, a guy that was skinny and wasn't ready to compete at a high level, to being a lottery pick, right? You saw Jalen Brunson go from being the number one point guard in college basketball. I mean, in high school basketball as a senior, to now like, yo, this dude is the one of the best college basketball players ever, right? And you got to watch that. And
Yep.
a guy like Phil Booth, who came in 22 points off the bench as a sophomore in the first game, had injuries the next year. You saw him overcome that, and then now he's a two-time national champion. And then Dante DiVincenzo, another dude, redshirted, was asked to play a role that probably he wasn't crazy about as the sixth man, right? And then go through those battles internally, and then in the national championship game he has 31 points off the bench. So it's like the sacrifice that you
Definitely.
made of being the sixth man, and being willing to give that up for the team, and then in the ultimate situation, national championship game versus Michigan, you come off the bench and drop 31, right? Like those are the things that when you're a part of something special, you
That's different.
appreciate those things, man, because it's bigger than just showing up and playing. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of mental and emotional, strain and sacrifice that the players go through to ultimately, put themselves in a position to do something special like that.
I always tell parents and players, like, don't worry about starting or finishing, just be a star in your role and everything will work itself out. Like a lot of parents today get caught up in, they want to start as a freshman or play 32 minutes in a high school game as a freshman. Like college coaches don't remember what you did in your freshman years. Like when it's money time, junior, senior year, that's when it counts. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of parents get caught up in the instant gratification of social media or whatever it is. And I think they get lost in that and just instead of worried about, keeping your head down and working.
Well, basketball is a team game, and you have to be able to function with four other players on the floor in order to be effective. And even at the highest level, you're ultimately judged by winning and losing. And you could be the most talented player, score the most points, your legacy won't be the same if you never win, right? So, like what's most important to you as a player, right? And you know, in this generation now, I think a lot is just kind of given to players where they just expect it because the next person was just given something, right? And then you get to the next level, you get to college, and if you actually make it to become a pro, you start to realize, like, damn, like I have to give up something. You know what I mean? Um, and but that's the beautiful thing about basketball, man. It teaches you lessons like nonstop if you allow yourself to receive them.
Yeah, I want to shift the conversation a little bit off the court. What role do alumni and community support play in your program's success?
Oh, now it's everything. Um, you know, with NIL and with just the current landscape of college basketball, you need your administration, you need your alumni and your fan base to not only support you um, day in and day out, but you need the financial backing as well. And one of the things that has made Villanova a special program forever is that from the president through the alumni through the athletics administration, like everybody's committed to the success of men's basketball. I think Coach Wright, during his time here, did an unbelievable job of bridging that gap and connecting our players to our alums, and even for situations like life after basketball, right? One of the things that we're most proud of here at Villanova is, when our guys leave here, they leave here as men, and they're prepared for life after basketball, whatever that may look like, right? We got, Tony Chenault, who's a Philly legend, who left here, developed a great relationship with one of his professors here at Villanova, in the film space. Right now, Tony is, the CEO of his own film production company. Right, Daryl Reynolds, another local guy, he's in that same industry. We have countless coaches and guys that are in the business sector and working in insurance. And a lot of these relationships are fostered while they're here as student athletes. And then it carries over to when they graduate, they have relationships built in, right? So when, you're able to say, um, and stand on business with that, I think that's important. And I think that's one of the things that makes Villanova special.
Now, let me ask you this. I want to pick your brain for a little bit. What qualities have you seen in players who successfully transitioned from high school to college basketball?
I think the best players that I've been around that have made the transition, they've had their own routine, right? They're not learning how to work when they get to college. They have their own routine. They do extra. They're seriously committed to being the best player that they can be. I hate to say it, but guys are into basketball more than anything else. Not really into partying, not really into, you know, um, all the other things that normal kids are into, right? And I think you have to be that way if you want to be great, right? You get a small window of opportunity as a player to make that transition from high school to college and to really take off and be successful right away, right? So the sooner you have, your own routine, the sooner you have your goals and your vision, and you know what you want, the better, right? I think a lot of kids go into college and they're just happy to get to college, right? The best players that I've been around, they got higher goals than just being there. They expect to be there and they expect to be successful, but they also know that they got to put the work in order to get there. So
Now,
that's
that's a
that's
tough
what I
one.
would say.
Now, how do you handle player competition, like far as for them playing for competing for playing time, but still maintaining the team morale?
I think you get guys to understand that your teammates are the greatest gift that we could give you, right? The greatest gift that we can give you as a coach is competition every day,
Mm,
right? You get better every day in practice. Iron sharpens iron, right? So you want to go somewhere where the competition is high, right? And I know that, like, at a lot of the top programs in the country, that's what they're selling. You're gonna come here and you're gonna play against high level players every single day, and that's going to make you better, right? So, if you're not looking for that, then this might not be the place for you, right? So when you have that type of mindset, when you go to a program with that type of mindset, like, look, Jalen Brunson came to Villanova knowing that we had Ryan Archidiakono and Phil Booth. He didn't care. He wasn't worried about them. He said, "Yo, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna earn my keep, and I'm gonna go take what I want." Right? If you're worried about who else is there, then you should probably go a level lower than the level that's recruiting. Because if you want to be a high level player, there's going to be competition, right? And if you don't want that, then probably go to a lower level where you'll get that opportunity to play, right? But when you talk about, in at this level, just the competition and the morale. Like, if you want to be a part of a good team, you want to go and play with other good players. Bottom
great.
line.
Coach Ash, I appreciate you for taking time out your morning to be on air with Rare, my guy. and I hope you guys have a great season and go Wildcat.
Appreciate you, man. Proud of all the work you're doing, man. Keep it up.
Appreciate you, my guy. I'll hit you soon. I'll be at a game.
All right,
All
absolutely.
right, talk to you, Ash. Thank you.
Later.